Yes, my people, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to another live. I'm joined by the Don himself, Robbie. Big up, Rob. Listen, you've had a good week, my friend. You had David Dein here, which I think everyone's got to be looking forward to. There's going to be a big interview between you and him. Look
David Dein, his new book. And let me tell you something, right? I am recommending this book, right? I read it over the weekend.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, when I say I read it, some people might say I cheated a bit because I read it, I did it via audiobook, which is the same, right? The audiobook's so good actually because it's actually David Dein narrating the audiobook.
Amazing.
And I've got to say, it was absolutely outstanding. My daughter was saying to me, "Dad, are you going to stop listening to that?" You know, because I was literally listening to it all weekend. But it is an outstanding book by an outstanding individual.
Yeah.
This guy is one of the reasons behind Arsenal being so successful, and it's an absolute must read for everybody. I really do think that, or listen to the audiobook. Audiobooks, by the way, I remember how I sort of got into audiobooks, I was at a conference, I forget what it was, but I was at this conference like a few years ago, and there was this guy speaking on it, and he was talking about how he was very dyslexic, but he wanted to be able to read. And somebody said to him, "Well, why don't you just use an audiobook?" Yeah. And then I thought to myself, you know what, I'm a guy, I like reading, but I'm just always so busy. I'm doing this, doing that. So, but I drive a lot. I'll be in my car a lot, going here, there. And I was like, actually, let me try audiobooks. And it's enabled me to read book after book after book after book. So audiobooks is a great recommendation. And this is a fantastic book. And well done to David Dein for writing this book. It talks about Arsene Wenger in it. He talks about, I'm not even going to say much more.
Don't spoil it.
Because we did an interview, we done an interview with him here on AFTV. And honestly, you got to watch that interview. It's coming out, I think it'll be out
by the end of this week.
By the end of this week?
Yeah.
Please make sure you watch that interview if you don't do anything else. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And David Dein, what a guy.
Yeah, 100%.
What a guy. It's not just what he's done for Arsenal, it's what he's done for football in general. Yeah. He is the guy, him and a couple others, they're the ones who started the Premier League. If it weren't for them, there would be no Premier League. I mean, it's brilliant.
That's mad. I hear him always talk about, there's an idea resembles a plane, but he didn't know how high it was going to fly, and it's flown into the stratosphere. How far it's gone. But funny you started with saying your daughter had his voice playing all through the weekend. It's like when you do Transfer Daily. Every time I meet people, the partner's always like, I always have that voice on every day. It's so annoying. At least your daughter knows how that feels for everyone else that listens to these lives or the podcast.
You saying I'm so annoying? What are you up to, man?
No. Don't fight me. I just want to quickly, I want to highlight as well, this is a signed copy from David Dein. When he came in, if we can get a close up on this, it says, to AFTV, keep up the good work, promoting the club we love. So I don't know if you can see it. That's signed by David Dein.
That was very nice of him.
And that was his words. It was really nice when he came down. Obviously, I greeted him and brought him around and showed him around the studios and that. And he was so fascinated and just so thankful as well. And he was a very proper gentleman as well.
Proper gentleman.
Can't wait for the interview.
Great interview. Interview. One of my favourites that I've done here since I've been on AFTV. Wow. So that's a. Yeah, because you know what? Like I literally like. I mean, this is one of the good things about doing AFTV is that these guys are your heroes growing up. You know what I mean? Like David Dein, the guy brought in Arsene Wenger, the guy signed Sol Campbell. These guys are your heroes, right? And then to actually sit down and meet him and talk to him and speak to him about Arsenal, it's unbelievable. It was a great moment for me. I really enjoyed it.
All right, let's get into what we're here for. We're going to get into some of the news of the day. I'm going to start with a little bit of a loan watch. And we've seen a lot of players go out on loan and they're doing very well at the moment, like Balogun off at Reims, and we've got Tavares as well doing really well for Marseille. But there's another player who scored. He scored this last weekend. Sorry, it's Charlie Patino for Blackpool, and he's become the youngest Blackpool player to do so in the league for 7 years. 18 years old, Charlie Patino for Blackpool, getting his first goal. 18 years old, Robbie.
Yeah, listen, and by the way, big up Charlie Patino. He sent me a nice birthday message the other day. It's my birthday. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what? No, wait. You didn't say that was in the show plan. Wait, what?
Yeah. No, he sent me a nice birthday message, man. And funny enough, I didn't see it until about a few days after, and I felt a bit guilty.
Superstar,
right? No, Charlie. And you know what I'm loving about this kid, right? Is that he's out on loan, and he's doing great things.
Yeah.
And the Blackpool fans are loving him. He's doing really, really well there. And I remember there's a scout who used to be at Arsenal called Brian Stapleton, and he told me about Charlie Patino. He goes, Robbie, this kid is going to be a star, and he's on the right path.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, Charlie, just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's fantastic that he scored. Hold on, wait a minute. Talking about young players, right? So actually, that brings me nicely onto one of the subjects that we're talking about today, which is, what Jason Cundy said about Nwaneri. Now, as we know, Nathan Nwaneri, he made his debut. Ethan. Nwaneri made his debut at the weekend.
100%, yeah.
Came on for Arsenal against Brentford.
15 years old.
And became, at the age of 15 years old, became the youngest ever Arsenal player to play for Arsenal, but also for the first team, but also became the youngest ever player to play in the Premier League. And it was a fantastic moment. Everybody was saying, how wonderful it was to see this young, talented player come onto the pitch. He only came on for a couple of minutes at the end of the game.
Yeah, extra time.
At the time, we were winning 3-0, so there was no risk of him bringing him on, and it was a really nice thing to do. And he came on. And I have to admit, before the game started, when I saw him in the lineup, in the squad, I was a bit surprised. I was like,
number 83, who's that?
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't heard of this kid before. You know what I mean? I've not seen him. But he came onto the pitch, and it was a great story. Yeah. But it seems to have caused a bit of controversy.
A bit of
controversy, and Jason Cundy of TalkSport, right, who I know. Listen, now let me first of all say I know and I get on with.
Oh.
And yeah, I get on with Jason Cundy. I think he's the only thing that's wrong with him is a Chelsea fan, but but listen, he knows his stuff. He's an ex-player, right?
Yep.
Knows his stuff, great presenter. But I've got to take exception to what he said about Nwaneri, and also what he said about Mikel Arteta. And it's caused a lot of controversy, and I've got to take exception. We're going to run a clip of it now.
Yeah, let people see what you're talking about.
Let's see exactly what he said about Nwaneri.
Congratulations, because that is an unbelievable achievement. I'm delighted for him on a personal level.
Is there a big butt coming?
There is a big butt coming.
Okay.
Arteta doesn't really care about the boy.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I think that's a really poor decision. I do, because it's about Arteta. It's all about Arteta. I have the manager that played the youngest ever player in the Premier League is me. I think that's self-indulgent. And when I saw the kid on the bench, I remember thinking to myself, it's great for him there being on the bench. I was on the bench at 17, right? First time I was on the bench, right?
Yeah.
I never got on. But I remember being on the bench. So I'm thinking, what a brilliant experience for the kid, right?
Yeah.
And when he's warming up and coming on, I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. This has got nothing to do with the kid, nothing to do. This is all about Arteta. All about him, self-indulgent. Look what I've done. I've given the youngest ever player his appearance in the Premier League, and I don't think this has got anything to do with anything else other than that. And I think it's a really poor decision.
No. I've got to say, Jason Cundy, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. No, serious. No. Honestly, I just looked at that and I heard that and I was just like, what is Jason Cundy talking about, right? How can you have a go at a manager bringing on a player? And even Jason Cundy said it himself. He was 17 and sat on the bench, right? How can you have a go at Mikel Arteta for bringing him on when he doesn't even know the player? You don't know the player. You don't know what his temperament's like. You don't know. I'm sure they're not going to bring him onto the pitch if he's not ready, right? I remember doing an interview after the game and I said, listen, this kid's temperament must be absolutely unbelievable for them to even consider to throw him into a game like this, even with a few minutes to go, because if it's not, it's the sort of thing that can go to a player's head.
Yeah.
But they see him every day. You know, Per Mertesacker, who's the youth team manager, will see him every day. He would have recommended him to Mikel Arteta. Arteta sort of said that much.
Yeah.
They would have seen him in training and they would have said to themselves, you know what? This kid's ready to be thrown straight in. We think that he could go in right now.
Yeah.
And remember, the only reason he was really in that first team squad is there were injuries to Odegaard. There were several midfielders missing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great opportunity for the kid. And I think Jason Cundy saying what he's saying, come on, that's just a big attack on Mikel Arteta for no reason, because you cannot say that because you don't know the player.
Yeah.
You don't see him every day.
Yeah.
You don't see him every day. You don't know him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And funny enough, I was talking to Ty, because Ty goes to watch a lot of the youth games, right? And I'll openly admit, before Sunday's game, I hadn't watched him play before. So Ty, who goes to watch a lot of the youth games, I said to Ty, I go, Ty, did you know this kid? Because I go, he's kind of come from nowhere. And Ty said to me, he goes, Robbie, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, I think Arsenal were playing Blackburn, I think he said, right? And he said, a couple of weeks ago, I went to watch a game, and as I walked in, one of the coaches that I know from Arsenal said to me on that night, watch out for this kid, Nwaneri. He is a star in the making. And Ty said he watched him that night and he was like, hey, he stood out. He really stood out. So without knowing the kid, Jason Cundy, you cannot make that statement. Listen, Mikel Arteta didn't have to bring him on. If winning the game 3-0, we're going top of the league. Mikel Arteta did not have to bring him on to say, oh, I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm bringing on a young kid.
Yeah.
And plus as well, Arsenal got a history of, you know, young players breaking through over the last
100%.
couple of years. Look at Saka.
100%.
Look at Saka.
100%. Rob, but listen,
it's ridiculous.
It's outrageous. Listen, I don't always go on stream and start cooking people, but this one really annoyed me. It really did. I made my feelings heard on Twitter, but we'll get into it. Danny Murphy also said something along the sort of lines. We'll get into that after. But
Danny Murphy, I heard as well.
Yeah, again, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
No, get to it. We'll get into it right now, because that's the other one.
Let's spend some more time on Jason Cundy, but go on.
No, that's a Danny Murphy as well, because
what
again,
he was saying, kind of, he's trying to.
He's saying the same.
The player as well.
No, he's saying the same. I get what I get what he's saying, Danny Murphy, right? But again, you don't see the player day in, day out. He's raising some valid concerns,
points,
and these are valid concerns. If you've got a young player of that age and he's not ready for that, it could ruin him, because it can go to his head. Next minute, the player might be thinking, boy, I should be playing for the first team every week. And, it could be the wrong thing for the player who doesn't have the right mindset. But come on. Arsenal is a professional football club with a brilliant setup when it comes to young players, right? They are not going to throw this kid in at 15 years old if they don't think he can handle it, if they don't think he's good enough, and if they don't think he has the right temperament. And remember, it's not like they played him for the whole game. They just brought him on towards the end of the game.
That's another argument.
And I just think that the comments from Jason Cundy were just totally out of order and unnecessary. And really, it's like an attack on Mikel Arteta, because what he's saying basically is that Arteta only brought him on as a vanity thing, just to show off to people, to say, yeah, you know what? I started the youngest ever player to play in the Premier League. Me, Mikel Arteta, me, boast. Which is absolute rubbish. He didn't have to do it. We're top of the league.
Facts.
We beaten Brentford convincingly 3-0, right? He didn't need to do that to make himself look good, because he'd already looked good for that weekend.
Is there anything Arsenal can do without being overly scrutinised? I feel like it always seems like we're getting shots taken out. You're bringing on a young player, breaking a record here, and you're even scrutinising that. Now, I'm going to read some of the facts of what I've heard about Ethan Nwaneri before we get into all of it and break it down properly, because Jason Cundy, the energy he had for this honestly, it caught me off guard. I couldn't believe how angry he was, and saying it was so self-indulgent of Mikel Arteta. Does he not know that for a player, he just said he sat on the bench. I bet he would have loved to have made an appearance when he was on the bench, at 17 years old. So I don't know how he's saying this, but let me read something I read yesterday when I was joined with Curtis Shaw. This was from Nwaneri's school teacher. So this is an extract. It says, the effort was nothing new for those who watched and coached him at St John's Preparatory and Senior School in Enfield, North London. When he turned up for a trial to earn a school scholarship at age 10, the game had to be stopped as he was asked to leave the pitch as none of the other children attached to top flight clubs could touch the ball. We could not evaluate any other player while Ethan dominated the game. That's from Alexander Tados, who is the St John's headmaster. And we also goes on to say that, you know, Ethan Nwaneri was there from 9 years old as a part of Arsenal, and they had to protect him. He was playing a year up when he was at school, and they had to protect him by leaving him out of kickabouts to basically protect him from getting a contract at certain other clubs. So he was clearly a talent. I know Ian Wright also mentioned it as well, that he was playing up as well when he was at Arsenal. When he came on the pitch, he was physically strong. You could see for a 15-year-old, he's very physically developed. And
he looked calm, didn't he? When he
very
calm
composed,
when he come on.
very composed, not phased at all. Obviously, I think he made like one touch of the ball, but it's 4 minutes. Jason, you're getting angry at a kid making a debut for 4 minutes of play. It's not like Mikel Arteta started him in North London derby and gave him a 60-minute run and put all that pressure on him. 4 minutes.
But my point is, Jason doesn't know the player. He doesn't know the player. He doesn't know the youth setup. This ain't Chelsea, Jason. I know you know Chelsea very well. I know you do know the setup at Chelsea. If you were saying this about Chelsea, fair enough. But you don't know the setup at Arsenal. You don't know this kid. I don't know him either. I don't know him. That's why I was sort of trying to do a little bit of research myself. But the powers that be at Arsenal, in Mikel Arteta, in Per Mertesacker, they do know him. They do know him, and they think he's ready for this. So how can you just turn around and say it was just a vanity thing? You're making a sweeping judgment about something you don't know about, right? And I just think that was below the belt and out of order by Jason Cundy.
His argument could be other players, though, Rob, that have been young and had the opportunity and then fallen.
Yeah, but they might not be ready. Yeah, we know that because maybe they weren't ready.
I need to play Angel's advocate. I've got to be on there. I've got to be able to give you the
No, but I hear him. I hear him on that.
You know, make it that can go.
He's the youngest ever, so I hear him on that. But listen, we've seen even in other sports, I was watching the tennis the other day. How old was that Coco Gauff? You know what I mean? She was like 15 or something like that. Yeah. She's playing Grand Slams. It's not unheard of that a kid, you know, of that age can't be way beyond the age. Jude Bellingham, when he was when he made his debut, he was playing week in, week out at Birmingham at 16. Yeah? It's not an unheard of thing. It ain't like he started the game, right? So I'm sorry, you can't make a sweeping statement like that and criticise Mikel Arteta when you don't know who the player is. You, just like me, should I say, we've probably been hearing about the player for the first time. He came on, you got to give him a chance. He must have the right temperament, or I'm sure Mikel Arteta wouldn't have done that. And I think it's really out of order for Jason to then start saying that, he only done it for himself. It's only about himself. I can't believe
he said that. That's out of order. Outrageous. That is so unfair.
That's out of order because there's been, as I said, and also known for bringing through young players. Emile Smith-Rowe. Martinelli was 17. He's playing at Arsenal. Saka. Yeah.
If you watch the Haaland, if you've been watching the Haaland documentary, there's the scout there that says, I can pick an Arsenal player, I can identify one straight away, and he says that's kind of the ethos within the club as well. You kind of know an Arsenal player from whatever age, 15, 16, 17, and that might be what Mikel Arteta might have seen in this kid. Like we said, he's been there since 9 years old. He's been playing up as well. It's fair play to him. I get
the thing. It's a difficult thing, right? Listen, when you've got young players, when you've got young people, right? Every young person is different. You do that to the wrong young person. I hear where they're coming from, Danny Murphy. I hear where Jason Cundy is coming from on that. If you make the wrong person get that, that sort of heads up so early, it could ruin them. It could ruin them. And we've seen it happen
many times
to kids that have burst onto the scene at very young ages and they've not followed it through. It can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that Arsenal, which is got an academy that's famed for bringing through young kids and giving them a chance in the first team, and then you see some of them go on and really excel, like Saka, right? You have to trust them on this one and say, you know what, these guys must know what they're doing to give this guy at the age of 15, number one, to put him in the squad.
Yep.
Yeah? Because they could have put anybody else in the squad, right? So number one, need to put him in the squad, and number two, to say, right, you know what, son, you've been playing brilliantly. when we was doing all of and Granit Xhaka came out and said, you know what, this kid's a special talent. We saw him in training, right? Arteta might have said, you know what, you train so well, you deserve to get on for 3-4 minutes. Go on and do your thing.
I actually think for Arteta, it wasn't his plan to bring him on. I think I remember him saying he just wants to give the youngster the experience of being with the first team.
Yeah.
But 3-0 up, 90th minute.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Jason Cundy will know from his time at playing, right, that, and I've been told this by many a professional before, because I've asked the question sometimes. I go, what is it? Sometimes you see a player come on, it's like a minute left, and he gets to come on. And sometimes managers just do that as a way of rewarding. And you used to play professionally as well. You know that managers sometimes do that as a reward for you training well during the week. Sometimes they're like, go on, you can get a little bonus as well by going on to the pitch.
You get appearance.
Right, but it's a regular thing. It's like, you know what, you train so well during the week, you train so hard that we're going to reward you with a couple of minutes on the pitch.
Okay. Yeah, let's
do Jason, man. What are you doing?
Right, we've got to be fair here in this debate. Let's do the other side quickly. Right, he as a young player couldn't change with the first team. Has to be in a separate change room because of his age. But also on top of that, there was other clubs looking at him. Other clubs like Man United, I believe it was Liverpool as well. So Jason Cundy might be thinking, you know what, you're only doing it to keep him sweet. Remember, he hasn't signed a scholarship yet, hasn't signed his pro. He's skipped past all the other players that really may have deserved the chance.
There can be little aspects of that as well, don't you know? He hasn't signed a
scholarship
yet. But also you could argue the fact that they've now, done that, leaves it open now to other clubs to say, wow, this guy must be some special talent. Let's go down and see what we can offer him to get him away from Arsenal. So that can be the counter thing. That could be the counter thing, because remember, he hasn't signed a professional deal yet. Yeah. So I just think listen, unless neither me or Jason Cundy can make a judgment on this kid right now, or make a judgment on Mikel Arteta bringing him on, because none of us knew who he was before and none of us know him. We're not with them day in, day out, so we have to trust the judgment of the manager. Yep. And for you to just say, he only brought him on to just show off that he's the manager that brought on the youngest ever player, I think that's out of order. That is out of order. That's the point I'm trying to make. As I said, and I'm not disrespecting Jason Cundy, I know him, I like him. I've been on his show before. He's a nice guy, right? He's a cool guy. But I'm sorry, you are wrong, Jason. You're chatting a lot of rubbish. Rubbish. Simple as.
Yeah, 100%. All right.
Just like he speaks his mind, I'm speaking mine too. No, rubbish.
Let's look at the ideas coming from Jason Cundy. Is it kind of a dated thing, Robbie? Because right now football is getting younger and younger. Players are making
younger and younger.
Younger and younger. I work with young academy players, and they're doing day releases. Obviously, the school get asked by the club if they can borrow a player, if to go on trial or whatnot. They're doing that in primary schools right now. So they're getting kids out of primary school and they're missing that sort of education, because that's a demand of talent. So in this country. So is it kind of a thing where, the pundits that analyse the game so far are just not moving with the times? Because he's saying... But he
said himself in what he said there that he was on a bench at 17.
Yeah, it's kind of...
right, so he should know that. And he is getting younger and younger, but I don't think this is just a phenomenon from now, because I remember way back when Norman Whiteside, who played for Man United, he played in the World Cup at 17, and he was, Phil Foden. Yep. Look how young he is, and he's been playing. Saka, as I said, there's lots of examples. Harvey Elliott, right? Again, it's about temperament, because previous to this, Harvey Elliott was the youngest player to have made a debut, I think, for Fulham at the age of 16 in the Premier League. 16, right? So, and he's gone on now. I'm not sure how old Harvey Elliott is now. He still can't be young.
He's got to be young. He's got to be
probably about 20. But he's now playing. He's starting week in, week out for Liverpool. Yeah. So he obviously, at the time when they brought him on, 19, he's 19 now, yeah? So when he came on for Fulham, and that Fulham manager gave him his start, and, he became the youngest player at that time ever to play in the Premier League, right? If Jason Cundy was watching that, he might have turned round and slated that manager and said it was all about him. But guess what? Harvey Elliott has gone on to become a full professional footballer who's starting week in, week out for one of the best teams in the world, Liverpool. Yeah. So, come on. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And listen, and you can make errors as well. There's stories of other young players that burst onto the scene. Is it Josie Altidore? I remember him. I think he was 15 as well. He burst onto the scene, right? And it's never worked out for him. He's been a professional. He's always played a professional, had a professional career, but it's never quite worked out for him. And there's been other young players that have burst onto the scene, and and we know in football there's some players. The players that peak at different ages.
100%.
But right now, one of England's best players is Jude Bellingham, and he started playing when he was 16. Yeah,
he's flying,
and he's gone. The guy took a huge step at the age of 17, I think.
Yeah.
To go to Germany, where he don't even speak the language, to go and play for Borussia Dortmund, and he's been a magnificent success. Mm-hmm. He's playing for England. He's a magnificent success. Probably, one of our, at the moment, he's our most informed midfielder at the age of 19. So, if they're good enough, if they're young enough and good enough, they should play.
Yeah, I like what you said about he doesn't know the player, so how are we making this so much of a judgment?
You don't know the player, you don't know.
If I'm honest, if you look at Bukayo Saka, I think he'd been ready to make a debut even younger. You can tell by how his temperament is, how mature he is in his play. And listen, I've been in academies and I've seen that there's not masses of difference. When you've been in the academy for so long, your technical ability gets to a certain level that maybe above the boys in your camp, but that is where you peak. And then the years from like 15 to say 19, 21, there's not masses of difference in your technical ability. It's just
a lot of times it's physicality.
That's the main thing, is your physicality will change.
And that kid looked physical, didn't he?
You're proving my point massively here. So that's the only thing that really changed from those years, is your physicality, and obviously the demands of playing in a first team
and the experience.
That's all it is. So
the experience,
exactly.
and of course, most importantly, your mindset.
Right.
Your mindset, because if your mindset, 15, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
But there are kids that are mature beyond their years.
100%.
And we got an example of that right in front of us in Saka. Yeah. That is, a kid that is mature beyond his years. Remember, this guy went to the Euros, got booed, and racially abused for missing a penalty, and has bounced back by having an incredible season last year. Mm-hmm. That's what you call temperament. That's what you call mindset, right? There's other kids at that age that could have happened to. It might have ruined them. They could be finished.
Yep.
Right? Adults can't handle that sort of pressure. Yeah, so Arsenal, that shows you Arsenal's track record with young players.
Right.
That they're not willing to just, Charlie Patino, a lot of us were like, he's ready, man, let Patino play. But maybe they're looking on it. But I say that a lot of times to fans. We're not there behind the scenes. So probably they're looking and saying, Charlie Patino's got everything. But we think he needs to go out on loan.
Yeah.
Maybe strengthen up a bit
physical
more.
League, see how he feels
get physical league, and then we'll bring him back after that. Whereas Saka, they're like, he's ready now. Get him in. Play him right now.
Yeah.
Those are the decisions that they've been making at Arsenal, and they've been making well. Look at Smith Rowe, they sent him out on loan.
100%.
Came back from Huddersfield, brilliant. Mm-hmm. So we've got to trust these guys. You can't make a sweeping statement like that. Let's look. You know what? There's a load of comments, loads of super chats, loads of comments, and we really appreciate all of them that's been coming in.
Big up everyone.
Let's keep it clean, because this guy James Money says simply Jason, and it's C beep 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 beep. Right, and there's a few of those I have to say. Abdullah says, glad this is today's topic after hearing Cundy. Made a nuisance of himself, sounded salty towards someone he could never be. A willing player manager. No wonder fan channels have more subs than Talk Sport. Oh, that's a bit dig. Yaudi says, tomorrow's my birthday, Robbie. I met you in New York City after we won the FA Cup.
Wow.
Before Santi Cazorla left. So, happy birthday to you, man. That's nice. Ash I says, a pathetic and baseless personal attack on Mikel Arteta. Wayne Sage says, bless up your Earthstrong, Robbie. Remember me when you buy Sky. I wish I could afford that.
Wayne Sage as
well.
No
Rupert Murdoch.
And
Dave Jordan says, if he was that good, why ain't Dan Potts heard of him? Now listen, I hadn't heard of him.
Yeah.
Had you heard of him?
No, I hadn't. I'll be honest.
Right, if you surveyed Arsenal fans across this country and the world, probably 95% had never heard of him.
Barter.
I know Ty had heard of him. Ty had heard of him, but that's because Ty goes and watches all the youth games. We hadn't heard of him, so we have to trust the... I hadn't heard of Saka. Did you heard of Saka? Is he good enough?
He's...
You heard of Phil Foden before he come on the scene?
No one really did.
Yeah? Heard of Jude Bellingham? The other day I was at a game my son was playing up in Birmingham, right? And I was talking to one of the dads there, and he's going, he's big. Sorry, no, he was a Birmingham scout.
Oh wow, okay.
And I said to him, I go, boy, you spotted one with Jude Bellingham, and he goes, yeah, Robbie's got a brother. Jude Bellingham's got a brother. He goes, he goes, he said a lot of the talk is he's better. I hadn't heard of him. The man's telling me I'd never heard of him before. So what are you talking about? I don't understand what you're trying to say. A lot of these players, that's why I say we have to trust the youth guys who are developing them. Yeah. They've heard of them.
That's their job.
They're with them every single day.
That's their job.
They're with them every single day. So of course they've heard of them. They know them. They know how good they are on the pitch. Yeah. They know their temperament. They know can we throw this kid in or would it go to his head?
Yeah.
So I know that if I had a young Cecil, I'd be like, he's got all the ability in the world. But he's going to go to his head. You're going to think, his head's going to go like that, right?
It's too close to home.
His head's going to go like that. I can't put him on the pitch, right? But then I might have a James. I might say, you know what? Maybe I could take a chance on this kid because maybe his temperament might be a bit calmer. Shall I put Turkish in? No, he might knock the ref out.
He'll blow up the whole academy.
But you know what I mean? Everybody's got a different mindset. Everybody, some kids, you see them at the age of 15, 16, 17, and you speak to me like, geez, that kid, he could be a politician or something, man. And then you see another kid, you're like, this kid, he acts like he's 10. You know what I mean? So, come on.
They've got 2 kids in the Arsenal Academy at Eton School, currently doing both. So they're playing for Arsenal and at Eton. That's the level, and they're flying in their grades. If you're watching the Hale End Academy documentary, I'm loving it.
Again, it's amazing.
It's incredible. So the academies, they know what they're looking for, and they know what they're seeing.
These guys know what they're doing. These are at that academy, they've got the best of the best because they want to bring through the best. Because if you bring through a youngster, and that youngster makes it, it's huge for your academy. And one of the things I'm liking at the moment is the fact that these kids are getting a chance. Maybe that's more Jason should be talking about. Jason Cundy should be talking more about us being able to give young kids a chance. Ain't that what we want to see in a Premier League? Kids coming through.
Imagine last season if you tried to do this and the pressure and scrutiny that player would be on compared to how now we're succeeding and we're winning. But
then again, this is again another reason why you give guys like Mikel Arteta credit, because he would have known that if that was last season, that would have been completely the wrong time to do it. Yeah. We're top of the league at the moment. No one's saying we've won anything, but we're top of the league at the moment, and we're winning that game 3-0 and there's about 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
The kid really, even as good as he must be, he's only really in the squad. And Mikel Arteta said that after the game because of the amount of injuries that they got to players in that position. So he was recommended to Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta has seen him training with the first team. And remember, this is anybody who follows Arsenal. I know you don't, Jason. Anyone who follows Arsenal will know that all throughout last year, there was lots of youngsters
on the bench
training with the first team before games and on the bench. He didn't bring any of them on, but a lot of times Mikel Arteta spoke about, I'm giving them the experience of training with the first team, knowing what it's like to be around the first team setup. In this kid, he's seen something what he's like, you know what? I'm going to give him a taste. And that's all he's done. He's given him a taste, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing. As an Arsenal fan, I was really proud to see what Mikel Arteta did. I was proud to see that. You know what I mean? Our players coming through our academy system, he can trust this kid, even those for a few minutes, to come on and did what he did.
That's what it is, Rob. I put a tweet out onto it and I said, listen, there's so much to love about this club right now. And there is. Things like that are just, it brings everyone together. It's such a nice gesture from the manager to the players. And then also just the change in Arsenal, it's been superb. There's so much love. So to see that video, it just, honestly, I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Lemon Seal says the dinosaurs are afraid of you and the power. Shref says this guy Cundy, he's been fed up and being told he's a Cundy. That's a bit since he was a kid. Best to ignore. Mikel's shown his young signings of work. Respect Mikel. By the way, as I said, Jason Cundy, he is a good pundit. And I listen to his show a lot, and I do rate him, but he's chatting crap. on this one. I'm sorry. Jason says, I will stop watching TalkSport. Just 10 minutes ago, Andy Goldstein and Gabriel said Gabriel was silly for posting about Tony. We constantly get hate, can't win. Now, that's another one. All right.
He said it was cringy and cringy for posting more than twice.
Are we getting a reaction to the Xhaka sit-down interview? I haven't actually watched it yet, Ashray, so I'll have a look at that. But come on, what's his name? Thank you, Jason. That's the next one.
Let's just talk. Yeah,
that's the next one. Ivan Toney.
He said it was cringy.
Ivan Toney, congratulations for getting into the England team. Well deserved. A player that I rate. I really rate. You know, I'd have him at Arsenal.
Yeah, no, we said it.
I said I'd have him at Arsenal as you know, because he sort of offers something a bit different. I'm glad he's getting his flowers in the England team, but I'm sorry, crying about Gabriel tweeting
outrageous
and putting out about nice kick about with the lads. You started it. You're a professional footballer. You know what professional footballers are like, right? When you post something like that, they take an affront to things like that.
100%.
It's not a done thing. It's not a done thing. It was the first game of the season. You start run up your mouth. Like you're putting that thing about nice kick about with the boys. Now that they've put it back on you, you can't turn around and say, well, now they posted it about 3 times. It's getting cringy. You started it.
Yeah.
They're finishing it.
Yeah. What was that player that...
Maybe he's upset because he didn't get a kick in the game. Be real. He was marked out of the game. Facts. I think in the game, all I saw him do is put one cross in. And all the other stuff he did was working back, and he lost Saliba, right, in his marking for the goal. That's what you should be analysing now. Don't be analysing no tweets. Yeah? Analyse your performance, right? Sorry, you started it. Man's finishing it. You know how it run out of road.
You know how it goes. Who was that player that got tackled really badly and then waited a whole year to come back and then do a really bad challenge to that same player and get red carded? It was years ago.
To Roy Keane. Roy Keane.
There you go. So that's how long people can hold grudges. If you're going to do it, if you give it, you've got to be able to take it. Tony, you should know this as well.
Oh, come on, Tony.
He knows, man. The banter, this is part of football.
No, but you know that you know there's some kind of unwritten rules. Like a bit like the other day when Richarlison's doing them little keepy uppies and that.
Oh, yeah.
Them things is, when you do that, you know what you're doing. You know that's the ultimate disrespect.
Yeah, you know.
To another team. So that's why I've forgotten his name. They just wiped him out.
Yeah, cleaned him.
Because they're like, what are you doing? Wipe out.
That's what they deserve.
So, you know, it's the, you know, that's an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
You don't go and tweet out after that nice little kick. You just beat an Arsenal 2-0. First game of the season.
A lot of games in the season.
And you go and put that out. I'm sure even people at Brentford and that were like, yo, bro, nah, man, don't do that, man.
Yeah,
remember, we got to go back and play them, you know. We go back and play them at their place, which when they came back to play them, they all was up for it. You know, I saw an example of that the other day. It was
who?
Grealish, Jack Grealish, when Man City played Newcastle. Now I don't know if you saw that. It was in the summer when, at the end of the season when Man City was celebrating winning the title, and he made a bad kind of derogatory comment about Miguel Almiron and how Mahrez was like Miguel Almiron, but in a very negative way, right? When they came to play Newcastle, they remembered that. Number one, Almiron played out of his skin.
Yeah.
Newcastle, the whole team played out of his skin. Jack Grealish, every time he got the ball, he got treatment. They were leaving late tackles on him, everything. All the fans were on Grealish's case. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Once you start running up your mouth and you put it out there, it's going to come back.
They know this. They get media trained. They know what they know.
Yeah, you know the terrain. So you give it, you run up your mouth, you know what's coming.
Yeah,
they've you know, Gabriel's got one over you. Now, nice kick about with the boys. What are you saying now?
He was annoyed that Lacazette tweeted it when we beat them at home, and then again Gabriel tweeted back. But that's
I mean, if you don't talk. You know what I mean? That's what my dad used to say. I'm not, shut your mouth, boy. Shut your mouth, not talk.
Shut up, man.
Don't talk. I know I've got the Jamaica Arsenal top on. Don't talk. Yeah, run up your mouth, boy.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes down to that, and I suppose, and he's arguing.
And I like Tony.
Yeah, I like him as well, and he's expressed himself on social media. But don't complain when you want to express yourself when you win. That's cool, but then let us express ourselves. Yeah, now you want to cry about over nothing. Over absolutely nothing.
Tweet it again, man.
It's a bit cringy. It's a bit
cringy now. Cringy, man.
No, just for that, watch next time as well. When we beat you again, I'm sure they're going to tweet the same thing.
Of course, and all the fans were singing about it as well.
Yeah, they were shoulders apart.
Listen, if you
give it,
that's what I rate about Ibrahimovic. He'll give it out, but he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And you don't see him moaning about it afterwards, and he'll bring it. I mean, you can't run up him out, and then when you run up him out now, it's
someone said, "Idiot boy, Tony."
Idiot boy. Hit 44 says Tony's performance on Sunday was cringy. What? He was, and by the way, he was awful.
No, I couldn't believe he was on.
Hope he does well for England, though.
Hope he does well for England.
Hope he does. You know what? The thing is, as I said, I like. You know what? I do like him about Ivan Toney. I like his confidence as a player.
Yeah.
He's a very confident player, and he obviously plays off of that.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he said what he said. But got to be able to take it, my son.
He was getting frustrated, very frustrated. Him and Bremo were getting so frustrated, getting dealt with by Gabriel and Saliba, and it just comes to show how far this Arsenal side have come on as well. But yeah, man, don't chat if you can't take it.
It's a lot of hate for Arsenal.
That's what it is. Anything good, it feels like when something like
let me analyse this, right? Like, first of all, it was a couple of weeks ago. Richard Keys. Oh, why are they celebrating?
Yeah,
because we won. Jesus Christ! Now we can't celebrate.
Can't celebrate. Can't bring on youngsters. Can't break records.
Yeah, guys start crying, right? Because we're celebrating right. I'm like, we can't celebrate. I never heard this yet. You hear people moaning. Oh, those fans are always moaning. You know, they come on AFTV, they'll be negative, they're moaning. Now we're celebrating. Now it's a problem. You know, fans at the stadium celebrating. Fans are coming on doing. Now it's a problem. What? Now, Ivan Toney, you go running up your mouth. We give it back to you now. It's cringy. Yeah. Bring on a 15-year-old, right? He makes his debut. Great story. Lovely highlight for this guy. Fantastic moment as we're seeing the launch of a kid's career, just like we've seen Wayne Rooney come in as a youngster and kill it, Phil Foden come in as a youngster and kill it, Saka come in as a youngster and kill it. Now all of a sudden, no, this is Mikel Arteta showing off. This is a vanity thing. What the hell? What's going on?
What is going on?
Now I'm starting to think there is a conspiracy. What's going on?
There is everything, Rob. Even
can't.
We're top of the league.
We're not allowed to be happy.
We're top of the league. Everyone goes, but who have you beat? All those. There's every little. Just,
yeah.
But come on, like.
Yeah, you ain't beat no one, are you? How much? What was the score when Brentford played Man United?
All right.
No, man, you ain't beating no one, man.
Good,
you couldn't. You know, you beat Villa and you're showing off. Didn't they draw with Man City? I said, like, yo, what's wrong? What's
wrong with Arsenal, innit?
What have we done, man? What have we done? Leave us alone, man. Can't we have a bit
enjoy it, man. We can't enjoy it. We're not allowed.
Listen, we may finish the season and we may not even be, you know, who knows where we end up.
Yeah.
We might not even be in the top 4. But at this moment in time, we are top of the league and we are enjoying it.
Yeah.
We're enjoying what our team are doing. We're enjoying what the players are doing. We're enjoying what our manager is doing. Our manager's been criticised a lot over the last year. He's been criticised when he's made errors, as it happens with every manager. At the moment, he's getting most things right and his team's top of the league and we're playing beautiful football. I was so proud of that performance against Brentford and I'm going to big him up.
Yeah.
Why is that a problem?
It's a problem. There's a problem.
Yeah, but he didn't play no one.
He hasn't played anyone. Yeah, who have you played? Who got big teams have you beat? It's so annoying. Even people trying to find holes in everything. All or nothing documentary. People trying. Oh yeah, but look at how embarrassing we did that training session. Okay, but listen, we've moved on from that.
Even the other day, I see KG dissing. Oh yeah, what did you look Jamaica top? Yeah.
Oh yeah, cusses it.
Go and get your own.
We can't do anything.
Leave us alone, man. Leave us. Just you want to be us? Leave us.
Nah, for real.
You want to be us? Leave us.
Well, let's talk about a little bit more success. We've got a big game this Saturday. The women, that is the North London derby for the women this Saturday, 1:30 p.m. kickoff. We'll be covering it here on AFTV as well. So guys, make sure you look out for all of that. But a huge game. Got so much buzz around this. Obviously, it is a North London derby, so it always will. But tickets are flying. There's some big players. Obviously, the Arsenal women have been superb.
Yeah, they won their first game. They drew last night.
Yeah, they did against Ajax.
I know Ty went to the game, and there was a bit of a controversial equaliser for Ajax. But they drew 2-2 last night, but started the season well.
Started it well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they got some big players obviously returning from...
But I guess,
some
they'll probably turn around and say, but he was only Brighton. Yeah? Yeah. But then what did Man City do? They went and lost their one.
Yeah.
And Chelsea lost their one. I mean, but anyway, listen, the women, you're right, the women are going to be in action. Funny enough, just going back to the David Dein book, right? One of the things that I found very fascinating in the book is David Dein is one of the big reasons behind that women's Arsenal women's team.
I don't know that.
Because he talks about in the book, I don't want to give too much away about the book, but he talks about in the book how Vic Akers, who used to be the kit man, came to him and said, listen, can we start a women's team at Arsenal? And he was right behind it from the beginning, even when some of the other board members weren't that keen on it. He was right behind it. He set aside a budget for it. They built that women's team, and that's been an all-conquering women's team that sets the example. He even said that they had to start encouraging other teams to get involved.
Yeah.
So again, a real pioneer behind women's football and lifting it up, and, one of the reasons why Arsenal's women's team is so good. You only got to look at our team, the captain of England, Leah Williamson, who's been at the club for 17 years now.
Beth Mead been incredible as well.
Beth Mead,
big part of the Euro campaign as well. Superb player.
Mead Amar, one of the best players around.
Yeah.
That Black Steiners who we got there, she's a good player, man. You know what I mean? She's really started the season well. So it's fantastic, and I'm really pleased that they're playing this game at the Emirates this weekend. I think they've sold nearly 50,000 tickets. Unbelievable. Let's hope they can sell it out completely before the weekend, so there's still about 10,000 tickets left.
They might scrutinise us for that though. Maybe not sell all of them, because that might be a problem for those people as well. The haters might be like, no, you can't be selling out all the tickets.
I think it's fantastic that you've got the women's North London derby this weekend, followed by the men's North London derby the week after, and let's start putting the right respect on the women's game, man. I want to see more. I want to see more women's games played at the Emirates.
Yeah, is there for the people that are going to be looking forward to this David Dein interview, Robert? Is there an exclusive for them? What are they going to see? That they haven't. That's not in the book. I want to promote the book as well.
There's a few exclusives, man. You've got to watch the interview.
Yeah. I can't wait. I didn't watch it when they filmed. I went upstairs, but
it's fantastic. Wait. Yeah, we sent you out of the room. You know what I mean? But it's fantastic.
Ouch! Man brought my man here. No, joking. Yeah, wicked.
Okay, let's get some more comments here. What's this one here? AA says November 25th, Arsenal number 1 versus number 2 goalkeeper. I know what he's saying.
Maybe Matt Turner.
You were saying number 1 versus England number 2. That's Matt Turner, who's in goal for the USA, versus Aaron Ramsdale. That's going to be a big game, that is.
Yeah.
Kelvin says Odegaard made his debut age 15. Now look at him. I forgot about that one. Odegaard, 15.
That's a big one.
15 and bought by Real Madrid.
Big one.
Thank you.
Captain of his nation.
What about that one, Jason? Should he not have played it as well?
That's the biggest one. That's massive.
Odegaard 15, that is so true. Shref says Cundy is living up to his name. Finally, ignorant. I'm not going to say that word. He says Arsenal is known to make youngsters into superstars for years. We're not Chelsea or Man City buying ready-made stars. And I think he's, again, you make a great point there, Shref, right? Something that, as Arsenal fans, we should be very, very proud of. Our record of bringing through young players. Our record of giving young players a chance. The only other team I can think of in the Premier League, big team in the Premier League that does that is Man United.
Yeah.
Man United have got a history. I think they've got this record of always having
a youngster on the bench.
one of their youth players.
I went to the Carringtons.
Yeah, and so big up to Manchester United for doing that. And I love to see when teams have got homegrown players playing in their team. And Chelsea, which is Jason Cundy's team, have got a couple of, in Mason Mount, Brozier now, who's in the team, Conor Gallagher. It did take them, though, to get a ban on buying players that actually give these guys a chance. And when they did give them a chance, look how good they've been. Loftus-Cheek.
Sick there.
Tammy Abrahams.
Loads.
Tomori. They sold Tomori, Chelsea, to AC Milan. He went and won the league, and then now they're scratching around to go and buy Fofana for £75 million. The kid was right there.
Yeah.
Their own kids.
It's ridiculous. Chelsea's academy is.
Give these guys a chance and buy, this is what Mikel Arteta's trying to set the example. Reece James.
Great player.
Yes, but would we have seen Reece James? Would Reece James have been so prominent had they have not had that season when they had that ban, when Lampard had to play them all? He had no choice. Or would they have just gone for the ready-made? So I'm proud of what Arsenal are doing when it comes to young players. I'm proud. And it didn't take no ban for us to start bringing these guys through.
I can't believe how much vim he had over Mikel Arteta because of that. I honestly, especially from last season, I mentioned it. Last season, it wouldn't have been the right decision to do that. But when we're top of the league and you're 3-0 up, bringing a player on for 4 minutes to have an experience that will live with him for the rest of his life his family. I can't believe.
As I said, if you to speak to a lot of managers, they do it to reward a player. They know they're not going to lose the game 3-0 up, with a couple of minutes to go. So he knows he's not going to lose the game. And he wants to reward the youngster and say, you know what, you were brilliant. You trained well. Fantastic. In you go. I think it's a lovely moment. Why ruin that?
There's some interesting super. When you read the last super chat, I want to hear your thoughts on that because I was going to question you on that actually.
Rizwan says Arsenal playing well is a loss of income for media companies. Let's bankrupt the UK media by winning the league this season, he says.
This question here.
And Yelia says, Robbie, you wouldn't want this for your son. At 15, of course I would. Are you mad?
This is what I'm saying.
Are you mad?
Bro, I knew this all again. I was consistent with big up Yeller because I was going to ask this question because
are you mad?
Your son's not far off the age, and if he was debuting for us,
my son's 15. My son at the moment is 13, by the way.
So he's close.
My son reaches the age of 15, and Mikel Arteta says, "Right, warm up, you're on."
Yeah.
They probably have to call the medics for me in the stands to take me away. I'd be blown away. I'd be so proud. Come on, what do you mean? Of course I want it for. Why wouldn't you want it for your son? And listen, I personally don't think we may not see this kid play again for now to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Possibility, you know what I mean? Because
they've
given him a taste.
Yeah,
that's all they've done. They said, right, we're going to give you a little taste, right? Now you know what? And this is just me speculating. And again, I don't even know. And that's why none of us can say nothing on this. But I'm just thinking that they might have said to him, right, you know what? You've had a little taste. Now go away, work your socks off, work hard, keep doing what you've been doing that's got you to get this little taste. And you could be like Saka, making your full debut at the Emirates Stadium for Arsenal Football Club. And if that kid's got the right temperament, he'll go away and he'll work and he'll work and he'll work and he'll work to get back to doing that. And that's the plan. Not Mikel Arteta saying, you know what? Bring this kid on now, man. I'll big up myself. I'm going to be the first person who bought on a 15-year-old and I broke the record. Mikel Arteta. Come on, Jason Cundy, man. What are you talking about? You are chatting rubbish. What? Come on, man.
You
just say that for effect. Come on.
Honestly, that's why I was so baffled. I do want to say there is a video that is going around as well off the back of this where the academy boys are watching him make his debut and they're little youngsters and they are so beaming with pride and watching him. So it's just like the little things that encourages
all of them. They're all watching that and thinking, yeah, that could be me.
Yeah, he was with us last week training. Now he's is that what we can do? That's what
I'm gonna show Mikel that I should be the next one promoted up to play. You know what I mean? That's that's what they might be thinking.
Exactly.
That's what he does. And as I said, if the kids have the right temperament, The only thing I'd agree with Cundy on is that if a kid's got the wrong temperament, that's not even what Danny Murphy was saying. A kid's got the wrong temperament, it's definitely a wrong thing to do.
100%.
But they would have done this research on this kid. They wouldn't have just thrown him in willy-nilly.
No, the club have been with him for years. Like I said, since he was 9 years old, they would have known him best. But again, I can't believe how much energy Cundy had for that. Just I don't know, of all things you'd say. I know he did start with, listen, fair play to the kid, but just to go with that angle threw me off completely. I can't believe he had that so much energy towards it. But
couple of super chats here. Incognito Joe says, thoughts on Son? More worried about the derby. Listen, he was a great hat-trick that he scored the other day, and Son is a great player. But we got great players too, and you don't see the fire that we were. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game. You know what I mean? Two teams that are on form, but listen, there's nothing to fear at Arsenal. Son is a great player. It's going to be a tough game.
I'm trying to find that video.
Right, but there's nothing to fear with Arsenal. Gareth says, have you guys watched Terry's take from TFT? Absolutely destroys anyone who had a negative opinion of Ethan's debut. Well,
I'm glad everyone's.
Big up Terry for
I'm
that.
glad everyone's shown energy and given the right energy back towards Jason Cundy. And listen, like Robbie said, he's a friend of his. Worked with him before. Thinks he's a good pundit. Fair enough.
No, listen. I worked with him before.
No, of course.
I've been on their show a few times, and you know, I met him. I remember one time when we were playing Chelsea, and I met him down there, and we had a bit of banter and stuff like that. He's a massive Chelsea fan, isn't he? He used to play for Chelsea and Spurs, by the way. But he's totally wrong on this one.
If this was the Wenger era, Robbie, if this was the Wenger era, do you think people have the same sort of problems with him letting the youngsters play? Because he had a good eye at spotting youngsters and giving them opportunities. Do you think it would be the same?
Probably not.
Because there was a lot of success around that time.
I'd even know, because this attack I don't understand. Because as I said, you can't make this attack if you don't actually know the kid himself. If you don't know how they've been bringing the kid through. You know, I don't think you can make that attack. I really don't think you can do that. I just think it's totally out of order to do that. KD says they would never say this if it was City. They hate Arsenal and they want to rile the fans for profit. They don't have ethics, agenda with no repercussions. I don't think they would have said this if it was Pep Guardiola would have brought a 15-year-old kid on. Right?
They wouldn't have.
I don't think they would have said it. And as I said, you know, Harvey Elliott, who came in at 16, Fulham, now having a great career. Great career, starting week in, week out for Liverpool.
Martin Odegaard was the best.
He's not even 20 yet.
That's unbelievable.
Martin Odegaard, 15.
That is crazy.
Red White Pappy 93 says they're jealous of what they can't have. 15-year-old player starting for Arsenal. Your club could never. And he says, cheers to Robbie and Cecil.
Big up. And, it was
and I saw Troops was saying a similar thing earlier on in the chat. Big up to Troops as well. I see you, bro. Gareth Staunton says, what age was Bellingham when he made his senior debut at Birmingham? 16. I think he was 16.
16 in the cup against Portsmouth.
Yeah, 16, but not like an old 16, so quite a young 16.
Young 16. It was like 16.
Yeah, so not far off the 15-year-old mark. And look how good he is.
Just quickly,
he's our best midfielder at the moment for England.
I did check it, and they're bang on. In the NM Cup, May 2014, Martin Odegaard, 15 years and 4 months and 20 days, made his debut. Yeah, that is superb.
Wasn't he bought? How old was he when he was bought by Real Madrid? I'm sure he was 16.
Yeah, he was 16. He was 16. Yeah. He had loads of hype around.
Like the whole of Europe was after this kid.
Yeah. Sometimes you listen. Sometimes you can tell, like you said, it's temperament. So you can identify what players can handle the pressure. I think. Listen, I don't know loads about Ethan, but he's been given the opportunity, and we'll see what happens towards the end of the season and his Arsenal career. But got to big up Arsenal and Arteta for doing it. Guys, I don't.
Listen, my message to Ethan Nwaneri, right? Keep doing what you're doing. That's got you to this stage, right? You are obviously doing something brilliant. You are obviously working hard. You've obviously got the right temperament. You've obviously got good family members and good people backing you, right? You just get your head down. Just keep working on your career. Ignore these outside men like Jason Cundy. Ignore even people like us. Just all you got to do right now is concentrate upon your career, your goal to make it as a professional footballer, to be on that pitch like what you did the other day, but not for 3 minutes, for 90 minutes, week in, week out. You are on the pathway to that. You've been set on the pathway to that. You've had a taste. You can taste that every single week. That would be my message to you. Ignore the hate.
Yeah.
Ignore the hate. You are going to make it. And for me, as an Arsenal fan, I was proud to see that.
You and me both, man.
Quite the opposite of what Jason Cundy said. I did not look on it that Mikel Arteta was trying to show off. I looked on it with pride. Pride of what Mikel Arteta is able to bring this player on. Pride that our youth setup is obviously brilliant, that we were able to develop kids like this. Pride that we've got a brilliant scouting system that are able to identify kids like this at this age. Just completely proud of that whole moment. So it was a great moment for me, and I'm sure for all fans.
Yeah, massive.
You know,
massive.
and you just keep doing your thing, bro.
Yeah,
you keep doing your thing. You don't worry about them, man. Welcome to hate. Yeah, this is what happens. You get man hating.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because these big media or big media publications, they're saying the pressure that he might get from doing this, and then they're talking about it and looking at it negatively. It's outrageous. They're basically contradicting themselves. You want to talk about how to protect a player, and then you're gunning them or Mikel Arteta for making his debut. You're part of the problem in that case as well. Yeah. Like, come on,
guys.
Keep
doing your thing, bro.
Keep doing your thing, and I hope you have a long career in football. Yeah. Quickly, Cruz Sousa as well was also on the bench as well. Just to mention, so he was a 17-year-old. There was two. If you checked all the socials on AFTV, you would have seen them both entering, him and Ethan. So yeah, man.
Abhijit says, thoughts on Conte moving back to Juve. I saw that rumour today that Juventus, who, you know, they're struggling at the moment, might go back for Conte. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah, take him back.
Jamie says, Maradona made his debut at 15. Get back in your box, Cundy. I think Pele as well made his debut like a really young. Pele was playing at the World Cup, starring at the World Cup, 17. Yeah. And that was in the 70s or the 60s.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
No, couldn't imagine that. That'd be
right. Rizwan says Ethan's sub is a statement to the football world. Arsenal is the place for young players to come. We will use our academy. Also, how comfortable was that game for us to bring in a 15-year-old? And that's exactly right. And that well said, Rizwan. It is a statement. Yeah. It's a statement to a lot of youngsters out there, is that, you know what, if you come to Arsenal's academy, you've got a chance of starting for the first team. Yeah. And again, a very intelligent thing to do. We're running out of time here.
We are.
But I'm proud. I'm proud of Nwaneri. I'm proud of Arteta.
Proud of Arsenal, of what's going on
proud of Arsenal.
Right now. Everything is just
proud of Arsenal.
Such a happy place,
and well done. Well done. Listen, Jason, man. Deal with Chelsea, man. Worry about Chelsea. Yeah? Worry about Chelsea's
Let us
academy.
alone, man. Let us alone, man.
Worry about Chelsea, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You've got to speak to Graham Potter about that. You know what I mean? If he's still there next week. Right?
Oh, we had to leave it a little shot there to end.
I took it. Oh dear. Listen, guys, thanks very much for watching the show today. Cecil, big up yourself. Don't forget the David Dein interview and his excellent book that's out now. Can get this on Amazon. The David Dein interview is coming out before the end of the week, so make sure you check that out. The guys have been working hard editing that. It's going to be fantastic. Don't forget to check out all of our content this week. Yep. Good luck to all of our Arsenal players that are away on international duty as well. And we'll be back tomorrow.
And the women as well. Big up to good luck to them as well this Saturday.
This Saturday, make sure if you haven't got a ticket yet, go and get a ticket to the women's North London derby. And thanks for watching the show.
Big up.